The courtroom is abuzz with a silent tension, the sort that makes each whisper seem deafening. The highly polished wooden benches shine under the harsh intensity of the fluorescent lights, casting back the worried faces of the onlookers, reporters, and relatives. In the middle of it all is Kody Brown, his hands intertwined in his lap, attempting to cover the concern that flickers across his face. To his left, Robyn is calm, but the tremble of her fingers gives away her relaxed facade. On the other side of the room, Meri sits stiffly, eyes staring at the judge, her brain whirling with each sentence she's about to utter. She understands this might be her moment to turn everything around. The doors creak open and the judge walks in, the room immediately falling into a grave hush. His gavel rings out against the bench, a clang that appears to resonate in the hearts of all present. "This court is now in session," he declares, his own voice firm but controlled, carrying an authority that permeates every corner of the room. Every eye is now on Meri, who slowly stands, her folder held tight against her chest. She breathes in deeply, the burden of what she is going to say weighing her down like a physical weight. Meri's voice shakes slightly as she starts to speak. "Your Honor, the facts I am going to show you are not pieces of paper. It is the truth that has remained hidden for too long." Her statement hangs suspended in the air, heavy with anticipation. Kody squirms uncomfortably in his seat, looking to Robyn for support, but she's just as unsure, her lips pursed tightly. Christine and Janelle are farther back, sending each other brief, tense glances. Even the courtroom attendants lean in, sensing the weight of the moment. Flashbacks flicker in Meri's mind as she speaks, brief images of family gatherings, private conversations, and late-night confessions. Every memory seems to sharpen her resolve. She remembers the time she had whispered warnings, the subtle hints she tried to drop, and how each was dismissed or ignored. Now, standing in front of the judge, she knows she finally has a platform where her voice cannot be overlooked. The first thing that comes from her folder glides forward. A collection of documents, painstakingly collected, each page neatly numbered. The judge inclines forward, his eyes running over the first lines, a wrinkle creasing between his brows. Kody's hand quivers. "Meri," he speaks softly, almost inaudibly, "you don't need to do this." She glances at him briefly, her face tightening, then back at the judge. There's no going back. Meri keeps going, her voice becoming firmer. She lays out a series of emails, texts, and bank statements, each one more incriminating than the previous. Courtroom is quiet except for the sound of the occasional rustle of paper. Robyn's eyes widen slightly as she looks over at Kody, her mind struggling to keep up with what is being presented. She had known some of these discrepancies, yes, but the depth and detail of Meri's preparation are shocking. Outside, the buzz of cameras and muttering of the press grow louder. Social media is already aglow with rumors of what will happen in these walls. But within, time appears to slow and contort, drawing out each beat of the heart and each look. Kody's jaw clenches. He's always been the rock at the core of this family, but now that ground feels as if it's splitting apart under him. Meri shifts slightly, pulling a folder with photographs and lab reports. "These," she says, holding them up for the judge to see, "show undeniable proof of what I've suspected all along." The DNA results speak for themselves. A collective gasp ripples through the courtroom. Christine leans forward, her hands gripping her knees, eyes wide. Janelle bites her lip, shaking slightly. Even the bailiff pauses, momentarily frozen by the tension in the room. The judge pushes up his glasses, leaning back and examining the papers carefully. "This is important," he says, barely aloud. Kody gulps hard, looking around the room as if he's hunting for some way out. Robyn's white-knuckled fingers grip the arm of her seat. She had always trusted in the solidity of her relationship with Kody, the delicate juggling of family dynamics, but this proof could bring the whole thing crashing down. Meri trails off, allowing the impact of what she's just said to sink in. "Your Honor, I understand that this is perhaps unbelievable," she continues, voice relaxing a bit, "but it is not for me alone. It is for the children, for the truth, and for justice. We cannot continue to turn a blind eye to what has been kept in the dark anymore." Her eyes scan the courtroom, crossing quickly with each of the other wives. Christine looks conflicted, Janelle wary, but both are silent, allowing the gravity of the moment to settle over them. Kody finally speaks, his voice low and tense. "Meri, you're crossing a line." His words are not just aimed at her, they carry the weight of years of tension, disappointment, and fear. But Meri does not falter. Instead, she leans slightly forward, her eyes locked on the judge. "Your Honor, I am not here to personally attack anyone," she asserts firmly. "I am here to lay out the facts. The truth will have to come out, no matter how uncomfortable that may be." The judge gives a slight nod to her words. "Very well," he says calmly. "We will move ahead with the evidence as it stands." The room seems to release its breath collectively, the tension still present but now centered and concentrated, like a storm waiting to burst forth. Side, the doors of the courtroom creak slightly as though mimicking the quake of doubt within. Kody's head spins. How did this end up here? He has always attempted to keep his household intact, to keep peace between wives, children, and extended family. But here, in this cold, harshly lit courtroom, all of those carefully built illusions are on the verge of collapse. Robyn tightens his hand, a fleeting moment of solidarity in the face of increasing anarchy. But even she can't help but see the significance of the documents, the irrefutable proof that Meri has laid out methodically. Something essential has changed and there's no going back. Meri stands up straight, collecting her things as if preparing for the next attack. The room is still, waiting. Even the audience is under the strain of anticipation bearing down on them. Kody fidgets once more, fiddling nervously with his tie, while Robyn looks at the floor, her mind somewhere else. The tension is tangible, almost crushing, as if the air itself has been heavy with anticipation in advance of what is to come. The judge at last clears his throat. "We shall have a brief recess," he states. "Upon our return, we will consider the evidence thoroughly and hear reply from all parties concerned." The words fall on the room like a drumbeat, an interlude in the tempest before the next rush of waves. As all of them come to life, sharing worried looks and muted whispers, the cameras record each motion, each face. Side, the public is already abuzz, rumors rampant over what Meri has come out with and what it may portend for the Browns. And as the courtroom empties slightly for the recess, Kody leans closer to Robyn, whispering, "We're not prepared for this, are we?" His voice is barely audible, but it carries the weight of fear, regret, and the undeniable truth that the coming hours will change everything. The courtroom reopens, the massive doors shutting behind with a finality that appears to trap everyone within a pressure cooker of suspense. The fluorescent lights create etched shadows on polished wood, falling on strained faces and fidgeting hands. Kody sits stiff, tapping a quiet rhythm on his thigh with his fingers. Robyn's eyes are on the table in front of her, jaw clenched, as if preparing for the tempest that is to come. Meri has standing confidently, clutching in her arms a folder full of papers and laboratory reports, never taking her eyes off the judge. The judge, adjusting his glasses, glances at Kody and Robyn. "We will now proceed with a detailed examination of the evidence Ms. Meri has presented." His words are deliberate, carrying a gravity that presses down on every person in the room. The air seems to thicken, each second stretching painfully, as the moment the Browns have all dreaded finally arrives. Meri unfolds the folder, drawing out a stack of lab reports. Courtroom becomes quiet except for the slight sound of paper and the muted buzz of cameras. "Your Honor," she starts, her tone quiet but unyielding. "These DNA reports affirm that which has long been suspected but never formally established. Truth needs to be accepted, no matter how uncomfortable." She lays out the reports with great care before the judge, who leans in, reading each line, each piece of data, as if the figures themselves possess an unshakable gravity. Kody's eyes jump nervously to Robyn. She offers a hand, resting it on his arm, but even that small action cannot cover the tension carved on their features. The hard fact of the situation has started to sink in, and with it, a seeping dread of the repercussions that will ensue. Meri goes on, her head turning slightly to speak to the courtroom. "These tests were run through an independent lab, corroborated by numerous sources, all to guarantee accuracy and objectivity. The test results indicate that the child in question is not biologically Kody's. A gasp ripples through the room. Christine covers her mouth with a stunned hand while Janelle leans forward, her eyes wide with shock. Even the bailiff blinks, momentarily losing his professional demeanor. Robyn seizes up, her hand wrapped around the edge of the table so hard that her knuckles turn white. A shiver runs down her spine as the magnitude of the revelation sets in. The life she had built, the delicate balance she had kept within the household, now seems to be disintegrating strand by strand. Kody's face goes pale. His lips compress in a thin line, his normal poise starting to crack. Meri doesn't hesitate, feeling the moment of crisis to keep control. She traces through the events leading to the test, the personal suspicions she had harbored for years, and the faint clues she had sought to convey to the family, only to be derided. "I've waited patiently for evidence, and now we have it," she says sternly. "The children, the family, and the public have a right to openness." The judge reclines ever so slightly, taking in the gravity of the evidence. "Mr. Brown," he says to Kody directly, "do you want to respond to these conclusions?" Query hangs in the air like a knife, cutting and unyielding. Kody swallows hard. He clears his throat, trying a level tone. "Your Honor, I never suspected." His voice breaks, cracking under the strain. Carefully designed veneer of control and confidence he has sustained for decades slowly starts to disintegrate before the eyes of all. Robyn breaks her silence, her voice shaking. I didn't know. I had no idea. I trusted." She trails off as tears well in her eyes. The room is quiet, the silence making each feeling, each unspoken thought big and huge. The air is thick with tension, every fiber heavy with the enormity of the discovery. Christine fidgets, her keen eyes flashing with a blend of anger and vindication. "It's about time someone spoke the truth," she says, almost under her breath. Janelle's face is less bitter, a torn combination of empathy and incredulity. The relationship between the wives is complicated, each feeling stacked with years of history, resentment, and loyalty. Meri reaches in and pulls out a few more pieces of proof, text messages, emails, and personal notes showing that Kody was aware of certain irregularities. Every page she submits before the judge heightens the tension, making it more and more impossible to disregard the growing implications. Kody's hands shake a little, and he fidgets uncomfortably, not making eye contact with Meri. Robyn's face clenches, the shock dissolving into a growing sense of betrayal and doubt. The judge scans the documents with careful attention, his face inscrutable. "This is significant," he says, choosing his words deliberately. "We will require a full analysis, and all parties will be afforded an opportunity to comment in detail." His restrained tone does little to stem the tempest mounting within the room. Meri inhales deeply, her gaze sweeping the courtroom. "Your Honor, I will answer any questions and supply additional documentation if necessary. But let me be made clear, these findings are verifiable and true." Her words have not only a weight of evidence, but of moral weight. She is resolute, an image of determination, as Kody and Robyn appear more and more exposed to the relentless questioning. Kody finally sits forward, speaking to the judge in strained composure. "Your Honor, I realize the gravity of these findings, and I ask for time to consider them and act in accordance. I want to assist the court to the fullest extent." His tone is steady, yet there is an undertone of alarm in his voice. Robyn, seated next to him, nods mutely, hands together tightly, trying to anchor herself amidst the turmoil. The judge slowly nods. "Very well. We will recess for a short while to enable all parties to prepare replies." He stops, looking around the room, making sure everyone there realizes the seriousness of the situation. "When we reconvene, we will proceed with testimony and cross-examination." As the courtroom slowly clears for the recess, whispers abound in the air. Onlookers share hushed tones, journalists frantically tap away on their laptops, and social media beyond the courtroom explodes with rumors and speculation. Tension has spilled over from the courtroom walls, fueling a storm of curiosity and intrigue. Meri exits briefly, taking a deep breath in the hallway. Her hands continue to grip the folder, but her posture is firm. She has prepared for decades for this moment, and the confirmation of the evidence creates a peculiar combination of relief and ongoing stress. She is aware the toughest part is still ahead: the confrontations, the emotional fallout, and the disentanglement of long-established family dynamics. In the meantime, Kody and Robyn step back to a corner, talking softly. "We weren't ready for this," Robyn says, on the verge of tears. Kody shakes his head, his normally unruffled self shattered by fear and impending repercussions. The reality they now encounter is inevitable, a far cry from the choreographed world they so meticulously kept under wraps. As the court resumes, everyone's eyes are back on the bench. Tension is palpable, every person set for the next disclosure, the next surprise. Meri sits down, Kody and Robyn steel themselves, and the wives look at each other with eyes full of anticipation and lingering emotion. Each second is a precarious equilibrium of tension, drama, and possible rupture. The voice of the judge pierces through the thick silence. "We shall now go on with the testimonies and precise answers to the evidence. Let it be known that the court is looking for complete openness and collaboration." The words mark the start of a dramatic and emotionally evocative chapter in the proceedings, a chapter that will unveil secrets, kindle fire, and leave no heart unscathed. The courtroom doors swing open again, and the tension inside is nearly unbearable. The air feels thick, as if every heartbeat is amplified, echoing off the polished wooden walls. Kody and Robyn sit side by side, though the distance between them seems more pronounced now than ever. His jaw is set, and his eyes dart around the room, avoiding Meri's piercing stare. Robyn's fingers curl nervously around each other in her lap, and for the first time her poised facade cracks. Meri is quiet, intense, her eyes fixed on Kody. Christine and Janelle sit deeper in the room, their faces impassive but full of expectation. This is the moment when feelings long bottled up beneath smooth smiles and measured words are at last about to boil over. The judge stands and rings his gavel to bring the room to order. We will now hear from family members and witnesses about the evidence introduced. His voice is authoritative, but there's a certain tension underlying it, as if even he knows the seriousness of what is about to be presented. Meri rises, stepping forward with a calm that belies the storm inside her. "Your Honor," she begins, "I have been patient for years, waiting for the truth to surface. Today, the evidence speaks louder than words. This family deserves clarity, and the children deserve honesty." Her voice, though steady, trembles with emotion, sending a ripple through the courtroom. Kody shifts in his seat, his hands clenching into fists. "Meri, this is not the way to do this," he grumbles under his breath, almost inaudibly, but Meri can hear him distinctly. She just looks at him and goes on, unfazed. Christine stands up next, her sharp eyes flashing as she speaks to the court. "For years we've been fed lies, silences, and half-truths. It's fatiguing, Your Honor, to hold the burden of deceit in a family that should be founded on trust." Her voice trembles slightly, betraying the emotional cost of this experience. "Kody, Robyn, we've lived in the shadows of choices that weren't our own. We have a right to know the complete truth." Janelle leans forward, her fists clenched around the edge of the bench. "This isn't just about documents or DNA," she whispers, a sadness lacing her voice. "It's about our family, our children, and the trust we've had in each other. If we can't trust each other to be honest, what are we even doing here?" Kody's face reddens, frustration mixing with fear. He opens his mouth to speak but closes it again, words failing him in the weight of the moment. Robyn reaches out, placing her hand gently on his arm, whispering, "We'll get through this, together." But even she seems uncertain, her eyes betraying the cracks in her confidence. Meri advances once more, laying a folder on the table. "Your Honor, there's more," she states, her voice unyielding. In addition to the DNA evidence, there are emails, messages, and personal notes demonstrating conscious attempts at hiding the truth. These aren't mere errors or omissions, they are acts done knowingly. Courtroom responds in a flash. Gasps spread across the room. Kody's hands shake and he looks over at Robyn, his eyes begging for support. She nods feebly, her lips clamped together as if to try to will strength into herself. Christine inches back a little, her face a mixture of vindication and brokenness. Janelle closes her eyes and breathes deeply, attempting to prepare for whatever is to happen next. The judge reads over the papers, his face impassive. "This is gravely concerning," he finally speaks, carefully choosing his words. "All sides will be able to react." His controlled tone does nothing to soothe the tempest, rather heightening the tension thick in the air. Kody finally breaks his silence, his voice strained and low. "Your Honor, I never intended any of this to occur. I've attempted to hold the family together, but I can't explain everything at this time." His normal poise is gone, replaced by visible tension. Robyn tightens her grip on his hand, attempting to bring comfort, but both are aware that comfort might be impossible to find in the room. Meri leans forward, her tone softening. "It's not a matter of blame," she says softly but firmly. "It's accountability. The family, the kids, they need to know the truth, no matter how hard it is." The tension between the wives escalates as Christine stands, her voice rising with emotion. "For too long, we've been silenced. For too long, decisions were made without our input. This is about respect, about honesty, and about finally facing reality." Her words strike like lightning, filling the room with electric intensity. Janelle's voice is softer but no less adamant. "And what do the children have to say about it? What about the lessons they are learning about honesty and trust? We can't close our eyes to this. This concerns every one of us here." Robyn fidgets uncomfortably, glancing at Kody, then Meri. Her eyes brim with tears she won't allow herself to release completely, the inner turmoil plain in every jerking of her lips, every blink. Kody slumps back in his seat, gasping hard, the burden of 50 years of secrets weighing upon him like a corporeal force. Meri holds up one last bit of proof, pushing a photograph across the table to the judge. "This," she says firmly, "demonstrates that the truth can no longer be denied or concealed. All families have a right to know what has been kept hidden, and the children have a right to grow up without lies." The judge leans in, scanning the photo, then out at the gathered family. "This court sees the weight of what has been brought before us. The depositions, records, and evidence show serious violations of trust. We will hear more reactions before deciding any further action." Kody tilts toward Robyn, his voice barely above a whisper. "We've done things wrong, but this is more than I expected." It's a soft voice in the midst of mayhem filling the air. Robyn silently nods, her fists clenching tighter, a blend of fear and determination. Meri takes a step back, arms crossed, her expression serene but intense. She's presented her argument to the court, but she knows the hardest part is yet to come. The emotional backlash, the confrontations that will reveal not only facts but old buried emotions and resentments. Courtroom personnel exchange strained looks. Journalists write frantically, the only sound in the quiet in the scratch of their pens on paper. In the corridor outside the courtroom, rumors become a crescendo of speculation, social media inflames with theories and indignation. All eyes, both within and without, are on the drama unfolding. Kody eventually stands, his voice firming as he meets the judge's gaze. "Your Honor, I request patience as my family and I try to process this information. I plan on being completely open, but I need time to react appropriately." His tone breaks, revealing the turmoil going on beneath his calm facade. Robyn stands beside him, her hand on his shoulder. "We will answer honestly," she whispers, her voice trembling. "But this isn't easy for any of us." Her gaze flashes to Meri, whose eyes lock with hers in a refusal to be swayed. Christine and Janelle glance at each other, the tension between them thick with things left unsaid and mutual knowledge. They both know the family relationship will never be the same. Kody and Robyn, the former anchors of the family, now stand on the precipice of exposure, every response monitored and second-guessed. The judge orders a brief recess, the gavel ringing sharply against the bench. The noise rings out like a countdown to the next act of revelation. The families retreat into private space in the courtroom, murmurs and whispers trailing behind them like shadows. Meri walks out of the hallway, her face inscrutable but her pace deliberate. She knows the coming fights won't be simply legal, but also emotional, psychological, and intensely personal. But she's prepared. For herself, for the children, and for the broken truth of this family, this fight is necessary. Kody and Robyn crouch together in a corner, their urgent whispers contained. "We can't allow this to tear us apart," Kody whispers, even as doubt taints his voice. Robyn nods, even as fear lurks in her eyes. Courtroom walls close in, as if knowing the tempest raging inside and the drama still to come. The courtroom resumes after that charged recess, and the atmosphere is nearly palpable with tension. Each beat of their hearts is amplified, resounding through the polished wood and towering ceilings. Kody and Robyn take their seats again, ghostly pale, eyes etched with concern. Tension that had boiled now rages like wildfire, consuming the room at a frenetic pace. Christine and Janelle sit rigid, their hard, knowing glances carrying an almost unbearable weight of emotion that's held precariously in check. Meri stays steady, although the fierceness in her eyes contradicts her determination. She has an inkling of what's going to ensue might ultimately lead the truth into the light. The judge looks over his glasses, surveying the room. "We will continue," he declares, his voice strong but controlled. All concerned are asked to bring any additional evidence or testimony that pertains to the case. The words lie suspended in the air like a taunt, a harbinger of secrets that will rock the Brown family to its roots. Meri stands up first, her file of papers pressed tightly to her chest. "Your Honor," she starts, her voice firm but full of contained emotion, "the testimony I now bring will shed light on the choices, the deceptions, and the betrayals that have occurred in this family." Her words cause a ripple in the courtroom, an atmosphere so taut that it might be cut with a knife. Kody shifts restlessly, looking at Robyn. "Meri, this is not necessary," he mutters, though even he doesn't sound convinced. Robyn tightens her grip on his hand, trying to reassure him with whatever she can, though her own eyes lie in terror. The mask of unity is starting to break under the strain of long-hidden realities. Meri presents a chain of emails and messages, not only with the DNA findings but other communications that indicate intentional manipulation and cover-up. Her tone becomes stronger as she sets the background. These messages show attempts at controlling the narrative, deceiving family members, and keeping the truth away from the kids. This is not an issue of coincidence. This is an issue of conscious choice. Christine is leaning forward, eyes narrowing as she listens. "Finally," she says under her breath, "someone is finally uncovering the fraud." Janelle's face is more contemplative, lips pressed together as if she's preparing for the storm. The wife's tension is thick. Years of unspoken resentments now meet with irrefutable proof. The judge reads the documents, his tapping fingers dancing along the bench. "This is troubling," he utters at last, his voice deliberate, measured. "All parties will have opportunity to fully respond to this evidence." The words are heavy with implication, indicating that the revelations are grave enough to require careful consideration. Meri does not stop. She glides back another photo, one that takes in a moment hitherto unseen by the public eye, a private moment that suggests covert gatherings and talks in secret, something for which she has been criticized for living. "Your Honor," she whispers, but the courtroom leans in to listen as a unit. "This picture validates suspicions and fits with the interactions that I have shared. The children, the family, and the public are entitled to what has been hidden." Robyn winces, her fingers gripping the table so hard her knuckles turn white. Kody gasps sharply, a desperate sound escaping his lips as he looks at the judge. His calm facade has disappeared, and in its place is fear and doubt. Christine stands up, her voice slicing through the air like a knife. "This isn't just about DNA or messages. It's about trust, respect, and honesty. For years, we've been left in the dark, manipulated by decisions made without our knowledge. Her gaze locks on Kody, unyielding. It's time for accountability. Janelle speaks quietly but insistently. We can't pretend like this doesn't count. The kids are observing. The things they learn about integrity and honesty are being formed by these exact actions. Her tone has a gravity that appears to ripple out across the room to touch each person there. Kody then stands, his face ashen but resolute. Your Honor, I need to answer these charges, but I have to say I am overwhelmed. The specifics, they are more than I expected. His voice falters and the judge nods, indicating the seriousness of the situation. Meri takes a step forward, her gaze unflinching. It's not about fighting anyone personally, she says softly but firmly. It's about revealing the truth and giving the children and family the opportunity to know what's been kept from them for so long. Courtroom is filled with emotion. Kody swallows hard, gazing around the room as though desperate to escape, while Robyn's eyes overflow with tears she refuses to cry. Christine's face is a combination of victory and heartbreak, and Janelle remains still, taking in the seriousness of the revelations. Meri next offers the last installment of her evidence, an audio of a confidential conversation that confirms suspicions planted by the emails and DNA results. Courtroom leans in together as the audio plays, revealing voices, tones, and emotions previously kept from the public eye. Kody's hand trembles as he covers his mouth in shock, while Robyn gasps softly, her composure faltering. The impact is immediate. Every witness, every observer feels the weight of the revelation. The judge pauses, adjusting his glasses as he processes the recording. This is substantial, he says carefully, emphasizing each word. We will need to fully consider the implications of this evidence before proceeding further. Christine sits back, exhaling slowly, eyes sweeping over the room. Finally, she says, finally, someone is confronting the truth. Janelle remains still, her fingers tight in her lap, betraying the tension she is trying to keep in check. Kody and Robyn huddle back in their corner, whispering frantically. We have to remain calm, Robyn says, her voice quivering slightly. Kody nods, but there is no missing the fear in his eyes. They both recognize that the storm is just beginning and has not yet dissipated, and that the revelations have only just started to crack the well-preserved image of harmonious family bonding. Meri goes back to her seat, her countenance serene but electrified with emotion. She is aware that although the evidence has been laid, the responses, the confrontations, and the emotional ramification will shape the course of the rest of the proceedings. The weight of decades of silence, lies, and secrets now crushes the family, requiring acknowledgement and accountability. The judge clears his throat, interrupting the oppressive silence. We will recess for a short time before proceeding to final arguments and statements from all parties. The gavel comes down sharply, echoing off the walls like a drumbeat, announcing at once a pause and a warning of the emotional tempests to come. Inside the courtroom, rumor turns to furious speculation. Social media is on fire with reactions, and journalists run to record every expression, every glance, every flicker of emotion. The narrative has moved beyond the courtroom, out to a fascinated public clamoring for the next news tidbit. Within, Meri enters the hallway, catching her breath. She is aware of the burden of the fight she has begun, but her resolve is not dented. Kody and Robyn crouch alongside her, their talk desperate but disjointed, as they steel themselves for the ultimate showdowns. Christine and Janelle share a look that is heavy with underlying knowledge. They are cognizant that the family is being irreparably altered, and that no one will be left the same. The disclosures have prepared the ground for a reckoning, and the consequences will be immediate and long-lasting. As the courtroom clears marginally for recess, this much is certain: the Brown family will never be the same again. The DNA evidence, the emails, the recordings, all have disabused illusions, revealing vulnerabilities and fanning into flames conflicts long dormant. The next moments will define the family's future, their relationships, and the very essence of trust and honesty among them. There is silence in the courtroom as the judge emerges from recess. The atmosphere is heavy with anticipation, each face creased with worry. Kody and Robyn sit together, their hands clenched on the table edge. Kody's calm demeanor is lost, replaced by agitated tension. Robyn's eyes are wide, filled with unshed tears. At the other end of the room, Meri sits with determined quiet, her gaze fixed on the judge. Christine and Janelle share a fleeting look, the tacit acceptance of the pending storm being shared between them. The judge puts on his glasses and leans forward. We have examined all the evidence, testimonies, and supporting documents. The court recognizes the seriousness of the findings submitted. His voice has a gravity to it that causes every individual in the room to involuntarily straighten up in their chairs. It is evident that serious violations of trust have taken place in this family, and the effect on the children and on the family unit cannot be overstated. Kody dry-throated a swallow. He moved slightly, looks at Robyn, who returned a weak, tremulous nod. Their own world, so scrupulously maintained and proportioned, now threatened to fall apart. The judge lingered, allowing the tension to accumulate, each second a drawn-out beat. Meri stands up, addressing the court directly. Your Honor, this has been a long time coming. Years of secrecy, suspicion, and doubt have burdened our family. I brought this evidence not to hurt, but to seek truth, transparency, and accountability. The children are entitled to honesty, and the family is entitled to clarity. Her voice is firm yet choked, ringing in the courtroom with no question of her determination. Christine rises next, her eyes flashing with determination. We've been patient, silent, and supportive for far too long, she says, her voice shaking with emotion. The lies, the half-truths, the concealment, it stops here. The children, the family, and even the future of these relationships depend on us facing the truth openly. Janelle adds softly but with intensity. We can't turn a blind eye to what has been exposed. The broken trust must be acknowledged and addressed. Silence is no longer a choice. Kody finally speaks, his voice strained and low. Your Honor, I realize the gravity of these disclosures. I cannot erase the past, but I will do everything in my power to be compliant and establish trust again. They are uncertain words, stammering, but bespeak the honesty of acknowledgement. Robyn tightens her grip on his hand, her eyes welling up with both dread and expectation, trying to find footing in the maelstrom. The judge nods. This court demands complete transparency, continued accountability, and a commitment to truth in the future. While the legal ramifications are being dealt with, it is obvious that the family needs to deal with the emotional and relational fallout of these results. Meri exhales, the combination of relief and residual tension sweeping over her. She is aware that, despite the importance of the court's words, the individual confrontation within the family is by no means complete. The emotional consequences will be severe, but the initial steps toward clarity and truth have at last been made. The room is heavy with unspoken feeling. Kody's shoulders sag minutely as he tries to take in the seriousness of it all. Robyn's lips clench, resisting tears. Christine's eyes are piercing, unblinking, and Janelle's face has a blend of relief, sorrow, and hopeful caution. The judge goes on. The DNA findings, communications, and audio recordings before us in this case cannot be dismissed. They reveal blatant inconsistencies in what has been told the family members, particularly in terms of issues of paternity and honesty. His tone is commanding and conclusive. It is the responsibility of all to act to remedy these violations and see the children protected from further deception. Meri takes a seat, her chest puffing slightly. The tension has not yet dissipated, but a feeling of triumph and moral victory runs through her. She has battled for years to get her voice heard, and now the court has sanctioned her quest for truth. Kody and Robyn stand up slowly, facing the court. Kody's face is white, but there is a glimmer of determination. We acknowledge the court's rulings and will abide in full. We have had a hard journey, and although we cannot undo the past, we can pledge to be transparent, honest, and rebuild our family's trust. Robyn chimes in, her voice shaking slightly. We wish to keep our children safe, preserve our family, and learn from these errors. We will all face the repercussions together. Christine and Janelle exchange tentative nods. The air is thick with feeling, tension, and charge. Years of secrets, lies, and unresolved resentments now weigh heavily on all of them, but for the first time, things have been made clear. The judge lifts his gavel. This session of court is over, but the consequences of these conclusions go beyond these walls. The family will have to keep going through this with integrity and dedication to the best interest of the children. The gavel rings hard, echoing in the room like a last drumbeat, signaling the end of legal battle but the start of personal accountability. Kody breathes deeply, his eyes on Robyn. "We made it through the storm, now we get to rebuild," he says softly, but the doubt in his voice betrays the long path that lies ahead. Robyn nods, crying openly, relief, sadness, and guarded hope washing over her. Meri stands once more, her voice steady but unshakable. "It's not about vengeance," she murmurs, her gaze scanning the courtroom. "It's about truth. And for the children and the family's sake, that truth needs to lead us ahead." Christine emerges, speaking directly to Kody and Robyn. "This is a crossroads. You can choose honesty or keep going down a road of dishonesty. The decision is yours." Her words pierce the tension, forcing each person in the room to ponder the responsibility. Janelle continues. "The children are watching, learning from every decision, every word, and every action. This is the moment where accountability matters most." Her tone, soft as it is also firm, and it matches the solemnity of the moment. Kody and Robyn look at each other, fear, hope, and determination flashing between them. They realize that the path before them is unsure, laced with emotional pitfalls, but the admission of truth is the beginning of the healing process. Meri folds her hands in her lap, breathing deeply. She understands that the court has spoken, but the actual journey, healing, forgiveness, and restoring trust, has just begun. The burden of years of secrecy has been removed, but the family must negotiate the emotional fallout carefully, patiently, truthfully, and with commitment. The judge at last stands. This session is officially adjourned. The court expects continued cooperation, transparency, and prioritization of the children's well-being in all future family matters. His gavel comes down one last time, ringing in the room like a punctuation mark at the end of a long, stormy chapter. Courtroom gradually empties, leaving behind an atmosphere filled with emotion. Kody and Robyn stand, chatting softly, their voices drowned out by the overall quiet murmur of others departing. Meri observes them, her face creased by a complicated combination of relief, satisfaction, and still existing worry. Christine and Janelle remain for only a moment, sharing soft words regarding the future of the family before departing together, shoulders back and heads held aloft. Outside the courtroom, the media stands waiting, photographing, catching quotes, and filming reactions. The news has already started unfolding, the DNA fiasco and tearful confrontations commanding the attention of an enthralled public. The world has seen the unfolding of secrets, the revelation of the truth that was kept hidden, and the naked emotion of a family at the fork in the road. As the Browns leave, their faces filled with sorrow, determination, and hopeful uncertainty, the crushing weight of the court's decisions and the family's admissions continues to hang heavy. But in that weight there is a glimmer of hope, an opportunity for healing, reconciliation, and the restoring of trust that was broken but not broken beyond repair. Kody whispers to Robyn, "We'll take it one day at a time." She nods, holding his hand tightly, a silent promise passing between them. Meri, Christine, and Janelle watch from a distance, each lost in thought, yet united in the desire for truth to guide the family forward.